responsibilities of the country, concurrently shouldered by economic forces since 2017. Wherever you have objectives, you also have indicators. What are the key indicators as far as the SSR process is concerned? Restoration of trust and confidence of the public in the security sector, paramount. Respect for human rights and the rule of law in line with best practices and international standards. Security sector composed of efficient, effective security institutions that are fully subordinate to democratic norms and civilian rule. But most importantly also, a well-defined national security architecture and ownership of the security sector reform process by this government. We are now taking ownership of the SSR process. We'll be the driver. Undoubtedly, since the SSR started, we have registered significant and key achievements. And I would want to highlight those. The security services are now reoriented and accountable in safeguarding and upholding the rights of the citizens through oversight mechanisms. The Minister of Interior seated here, Minister of Defense and other security service heads that are present here are now all held to account, providing briefings and answering to the National Assembly Oversight Committees on Defense and Security. It's an achievement. The National Intelligence Agency, which is now rebranded as the State Intelligence Service, since the last 6 years is no longer engaged in arbitrary arrest, detention, torture, and other forms of right abuses as evident in the previous administration. The service is now focused on its core mandate of intelligence, collection, analysis, and dissemination of advice policymakers and consumers. A huge leap and an achievement as well. And I'm sure a lot of you will testify to that. The Gambia Police Force now hardly detains suspects beyond the 72 hours as mandatory as required by law, and embraces the concept of community policing approach as well as accountable and respect human rights and rule of law. The Gambia Armed Forces is now focused on its core mandate of safeguarding the territorial integrity of the country, as well as engage in civil-military relationships to foster better understanding with the citizens of this country. Evidently, the security institutions have now moved away from being regime-centered institutions and now focused on their core national security mandates, which has rekindled public trust and confidence in them and the government. But most importantly, the democratic space is now open. Rule of law applied. Courts are now independent, and citizens entitled to free speech and holding government to account. The current rating of the country as peaceful and stable, as well as the support of donors such as IMF, EU, World Bank, and UNDP are testimony to and further demonstrate the gains registered in the democratic process. And here I will urge everyone, let's do our best to safeguard and not reverse the gains already achieved. Capacity building initiative specific to training are ongoing for the security services. The aggregate translate to the significant reduction of human rights violation and abuses, and the focus is now on optimal security service delivery to the citizens based on the global approach of human-centered security. There are also some key reform programs undertaken by the government to enhance the security of this country. Since the introduction of the SSR process in the Gambia, significant level of reform activities have been undertaken in line with democratic principles and international standards. The following are key highlights of these achievements: establishment of the Office of National Security and appointment of National Security Advisor to coordinate the activities of all the security institutions and to lead the SSR process. Example of the new security policies and programs developed and being implemented are National Security Policy, National Security Strategy, Security Sector Reform Strategy, National Defense Policy, Legal Coordination Framework, National Security Council Bill, National Sector Institutional Legal Framework, last but not least, the creation of the legal database website, where all and sundry have access if you want to have access to these documents. Now, this leads me to an important and central pillar of the SSR process, which is capacity building and institutional development of the security services. I will start with the Gambia Armed Forces, what have been registered so far. Legal frameworks and policy documents have been reviewed, developed, or some being drafted. These include defense policy, peacekeeping policy, defense strategy, terms of reference of the service, which is called the TACOS, and most importantly, the Gambia Armed Forces Act of '85 and other subsidiary documents. Training has forces, particularly for the Officers Corps in different military fields since 2017. Some of them have attended Defense College, War College, and other senior leadership strategic courses, both in-country and outside. Appointments and reassignments in the positions are based on competence, capacity, and capabilities. No more of how long you've been there or what tribe do you belong to. Training of the lower cadre of the military has remained an ongoing activity with a view to change culture, mindset, and behavior. New units created to move from regime-centered security to human-centered security. Promotional examination for commissioned officers to ensure that officers are deservedly moved from one rank to another. This takes me to the Gambia Police Force. Legal frameworks and policy documents have been revised, developed, some are drafted. Policies such as crime management and critical incident response, standard operating procedures, police guidance, manual, arrest and detention manual, pocket book on action security, policy, public assembly, etc. Training has been tailored to support the professionalization of the general duty police as well as police intervention unit in areas such as forensic investigation, traffic management, public order management, public safety and crime prevention, community policing guideline, etc. So far, 76 community policing centers have been established across the country. Crime information management system developed and up and running now. New police doctrine developed with clear vision, mission, and values geared towards the professionalization of the police service. Major infrastructure development carried out, such as the construction of model police stations in Serekunda, Bung, Bara, and this will be replicated in all the administrative regions in the country. Police have also developed a 5-year development plan, and also, very importantly, conscious of gender mainstreaming, they've developed a gender policy. State Intelligence Services. The State Intelligence Services Draft Bill, Code of Conduct, Selection and Recruitment Policy, Training Policy, and Manual in Diplomatic Ethic and Protocol completed. Significant number of officers have undergone internal and external training to augment their capacities in various facets of national security, in general and in intelligence statecraft in particular. The agency has upgraded its training school to academy called the Center for National Security Studies as a training hub for not only the SIS, but the wider security sector and other stakeholders. And we are looking to even inviting some of our neighbors to be able to benefit from this academy. Gambia Immigration Department implemented institutional and legal reforms, including review of the Immigration Act 1965. They've also introduced secured identification and documentation for processing and issuance of national identification documents. They've implemented measures to enhance border control and management, formulation of human. I am at the point where what would be the fair word collectively to be able to address these challenges. First and foremost, it will be important to enhance coordination. This will be done through the strengthening of the Office of National Security to coordinate with UNDP, to streamline donor coordination. We don't want the arena to be muddied. It will be good to ensure that donor coordination takes place. Mobilize development support towards enhanced SSR process. Identify and mobilize other development partners towards a collective approach to address gap in the approaches to support SSR process. This is also important. We have partners, but if any one of you here is also in a position to identify or recommend a partner who may have interest in the SSR process, it will be more than welcome. We will also be embarking on the implementation of the SSR strategy. The current focus, as directed by the Gambia government, is the implementation of the national security policy and national security strategy. We've already developed a matrix which outlines the strategic approach for the implementation, monitoring, and review process of the implementation of the plan. The implementation will be conducted in 3 phases. Short missions have timeline, and ECOMIC is no exception to this reality. The Gambia government is working in progressive way for the eventual withdrawal of ECOMIC through training and capacity building of the Gambia security institutions. Therefore, government is committed to carry out a comprehensive security sector reform in the shortest possible time with the support of its development partners. I hope these have given some clarity on ECOMIC. Furthermore, government is committed to ensuring that the security institutions are right-sized to make them fit for purpose. Its attainment will invariably translate to a professional